Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another weekly check-in for the week of February 9th through February 15th. So that's Sunday the 9th through Saturday the 15th. Let's see what we have going on as a collective, because I don't know about you guys, but things have been feeling a little bit strange. I'm not sure I really like what's going on the world at large, so I'm just trying to focus on what I can change and what I can do in my little world. So let's see what we need to know as a collective. So we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Then we have, what do we need to do as a collective? So we have the Velocity of Earth, or the Knight of Pentacles upright. What do we need to release? We have the Tower reversed. And then what do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have the 10 of Fire, or the 10 of Wands. All right, I also want to pull a couple of oracle cards. I kind of feel like we need some extra messages. We do have a full moon in Aquarius, or sorry, full moon in Leo on the 12th. So that'll be Wednesday this week. We have Connect to Confidence. And then let's see. Let's do a Sacred Symbols as well. We have Truth. I'm going to move these up a little bit. There you go. And then I want to also pull, and if you see some smoke, sorry, I have my incense going. Some dragon's blood today to just kind of soothe and calm my nervous system. Now let's do an Elemental Empath Oracle card. We have Boundaries. All right. So let's see what this reading has in store for us for this week and what we need to kind of keep in mind. So starting right off with what we need to know, we have the Wheel reversed. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is typically a card of our luck changing, things kind of finally shifting, kind of getting back into flow. So maybe this week may feel like things are still not really taking off. Things may not really come together the way that we had anticipated. There may be a lot of this sense of doom and gloom. I kind of feel like that's the energy of the reversed wheel, is that maybe we're just not allowing things to kind of click into place, allowing things to really take off and move in the direction that they need to. This being a major card, it may feel like this is affecting all different areas of our lives. It's not just going to be in one thing at the current moment. And it's interesting because we just had Jupiter stationing direct in Gemini. So we're kind of getting this sense of, we're still trying to kind of figure out, what does this mean? How are we going to go with this energy? How can this flow? Because Jupiter is not super comfortable in Gemini, but we're given an opportunity to kind of think about what it is that we believe in, what it is about, what we want to kind of expand, especially when it comes to the mental elements of life that maybe we've kind of forgotten. And I think with the wheel here reversed, especially for what we need to know, is that maybe it may feel like things are not really shifting and moving in the direction that we would like, or there may be some things that feel like there's a little bit of a lack of momentum and movement. And we may also be feeling a sense of, where is this leading us, or where is this actually taking us? That can feel a little bit uncomfortable. I think with the wheel reversed, there's also this understanding that things are constantly in flux. Things are constantly changing. Things are static, and maybe we're kind of forgetting that as much as it may feel like things are not flowing in the way that we would like for them to, there is an opportunity for us to kind of look at, what does that mean for us as individuals? When I think of the wheel, especially reversed, I think it's kind of allowing us to kind of move back into the energy of the Hermit and asking us to kind of look at, what is our intuition telling us? Have we sought ourselves out? Do we understand, Are we removing ourselves from certain situations that maybe are creating a lot of stress and undue, kind of like mental anxiety? And the only way that we can really figure out who we are and what we want is to kind of take a step back, kind of reconnect with ourselves, so that when things start to flow, they're flowing from a place that makes a little bit more sense for us, that is a little bit more in alignment with who we are, what we want, and what we're trying to do with our lives. So I think what we need to know this week is essentially like this is an opportunity for us to kind of go back in to ourselves and understand that change is going to come no matter what. It's really up to us to kind of see how that change is going to work out for us long term, and really being a little bit more malleable and flexible with things as they are shifting, even if they feel a little bit uncomfortable. Now, what we need to do, we have the Knight of Pentacles or Velocity of Earth in this deck. I think that this is almost saying like we need to be a little bit more methodical. We need to be strategic. We need to kind of figure out what we're willing to kind of go to bat for. Like, what are we willing to fight for? This is a great time to kind of look at the work that we're doing, our physical spaces, our homes, our physical bodies, our, communities, and what we're building, and kind of what messages are we receiving at this time, is to kind of pay attention to what does that mean for us? Whether that's like, what is our messaging at this time? What is it that we're physically doing for ourselves? How are we showing up in this energy? And are we taking care of the things that physically at home we can control? So I think that this week may be one where we're a little bit more focused on us as individuals and what that means as far as like whenever we're kind of going out into the world. And so I think that this is just essentially an invitation to kind of say like, okay, we got to kind of reprioritize like what we need, what we're doing, and also being very aware of making a plan for what will come, moving forward. Like, what is it that we're trying to work towards, if that makes sense? And that is going to be us really focusing on making a plan, sticking to it, and kind of moving into that direction as much as we possibly can. Now we have what we need to release. Here we have the Tower reversed. And I think it's interesting that we have two major cards, both reversed. So this energy is going to feel a little bit more introspective, a little bit more introverted, more kind of like understanding ourselves by design, if that makes sense. And so I think with the Tower reversed here, especially with what we need to release, is maybe there is a sense of, there's this big unknowable, unshakable, unexpected kind of energy that's been coming our way. And while some of us may be a little bit thrown off by the things that are happening that feel like they're very much out of our control, I think the Tower reverse is kind of saying like, stop feeling like you don't have anything here to kind of keep you grounded, to keep you in the element of what it is that you're doing. I feel like the Tower at times can be this energy of like really having to understand that to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So as much as it may seem like we're kind of being thrown about, or things are kind of shaking our foundations down to a place to where it feels unrecognizable, or we may feel like things are kind of like shifting out of what we would normally know what's going to happen. This is reversed, right? So this is more of like an internal process within ourselves. Maybe we need to look at like, where have we, chained ourselves to certain ideologies or certain expectations or certain things in our lives that maybe don't really make sense for life as we know it, as it's moving at this current moment. And so there may be a lot of things that need to shift. There may be a lot of things that we're hanging on to that really don't make sense. And whether that is like our own mental limitations, our own physical limitations that we're kind of placing on ourselves, imposing on ourselves, whether it's like, oh, I can only do this, or I'm only one person, or whatever. I feel like the Tower reversed here, especially with the whole being like a sense of what we need to release, is this sense of we are the only ones going through the challenges at the current moment. And so maybe this is a good time to kind of shake the sense of doing things alone and having to kind of go through things alone. I think a lot of us are wanting to kind of reconnect and find community and find ways to kind of come together. And it is still Aquarius season, which is a time of humanitarian efforts, of humanity coming back together and kind of moving out of what we would normally want to move into, if that makes sense. So it is very much this energy of doing the unexpected and doing the things that other people wouldn't normally expect of you. And I think that's the big thing with the Tower reverse this week, is that it's almost saying like we need to kind of let go of this sense that maybe what we're doing will not be received, or what we're doing may not always move us exactly where we would like to. So we move on to what we need to contemplate. We have the 10 of Fire, or the 10 of Wands. And this is kind of saying like we're just overextended. We have been caring too much. We're trying to do everything by ourselves. And I think a lot of us are kind of realizing and recognizing, again, that kind of lack of community, that lack of connection, and kind of going together and figuring out how we can all, contribute to the changes that maybe we're seeing, or the shifts that are happening, and trying to kind of come together in new ways. So I think that the 10 of Wands is kind of saying like we need to stop trying to do everything by ourselves. We're not meant to have such an isolated and independent life from one another. We need one another. And so I think that this card is a reminder of that, of just, we need to have our communities, we need to have that connection, we need to be able to delegate and share and say, hey, I don't know how to do this, or hey, I can't complete this, or hey, I need help with this. As challenging as it may feel at times, especially having to kind of rely on the assistance of others, or having to open ourselves up to the possibility of being disappointed when we ask for help, because that does happen at times. You may be like, oh, I need help and I need community, and then no one really answers that call. It can be a little bit like deflating, because it can feel very much like, well, I wanted, some assistance, and I needed some help, and I didn't really receive it. So I think with the 10 of Wands, especially with what we need to release, is that maybe we need to stop feeling like we're the only ones carrying the entire load. And maybe this is why it's really asking us to kind of go out into our communities and really reconnect with the people around us. Now, as far as the Oracle cards, we have Connect to Confidence, which I think that this is kind of saying like maybe we're forgetting how truly powerful we are. And I know it's easy to get distracted by all of the external noise going on right now, that, it can feel very much like, I don't really know where this is going to lead. I don't really know how these things are going to shake out. I don't really understand how other people are not feeling the way that I feel. But I think with Connecting to Confidence, it's really about saying, I understand and I know what I'm capable of. So that also means that I can also attract that sort of energy into my life by connecting to who I am and what I'm doing, and kind of essentially doubling down on that. It allows us to kind of connect a little bit more fully to our truth. And truth may be a reminder of really seeking it out, really understanding that whenever we are speaking our truth and kind of showing up in that authentic kind of way, like looking at our message basically, and kind of saying like, this is what I'm willing to fight for, this is what I'm willing to go after, this is like what I'm planning for myself, it won't matter how much we get shaken up, because we're still in our truth, and we have to be confident of that, even as things that maybe we weren't expecting happen. We need to stop trying to carry everything by ourselves, and forgetting that, things that flow may not always flow the way that we want, but we can always adjust, and we can always kind of move into what it is that we need. So I think truth is here as a reminder of us really showing up, not just in our own personal truth, but also like what it is that means for us, whether that's, my truth is this. And I know that this is something that can change quite a bit as you become a person, as you're growing up, as you're kind of shifting and aging and going through life. Our truth can be something that is consistently shifting within ourselves. And I think that right now for this week, they're kind of saying like, what is the truth of what we are, what we're doing, what we want, and what that means for us as individuals. Now with the Connecting to Confidence card as well, we do have a full moon in Leo on the 12th. And Leo is a sign of, our sense of individuality. It's ruled by the sun. So we're kind of getting this like highlight of what it is that makes us feel more like ourselves. Where do we feel our strength lies? Where do we feel that our ability to shine really is? And so depending on where Leo is in your chart, and yes, you have Leo in your chart, we all do, it will really make a difference to kind of see what that means for you, where that house is kind of being highlighted, where the moon is kind of shining certain things that maybe you need to nurture within yourself, whether that's, I need to be a little bit more confident in how I speak. I need to be more confident in my creativity. I need to be more confident at work. I need to be more confident in my relationships or as an individual. So it really just depends on what part of yourself maybe that you have kind of put on the back burner at the current moment, and how to kind of connect a little bit more to that, because that essentially is going to be the way that you move into truth and really allow that to be the backbone for things that are trying to kind of change. Now, finally, we have the boundaries card. So this is like what it sounds like. This is really saying like we need to reclaim our space. We need to kind of look at our energetic boundaries. As a as a highly sensitive person, empath, whatever you want to call it, energetically sensitive, whatever you want to call it, right now things feel very bleak and can feel very intense and can feel very much like alarming, I guess would be like the nicest way of putting things. And so I think that this is almost saying like we need to have those boundaries, whether that is an energetic boundary, a physical boundary, an inner boundary with ourselves of like, I'm not going to focus on these things. I'm not going to, make everything a catastrophe. I'm not going to figure out that everything is meant to kind of break me down right now. The boundary can be very much a reminder of how can we show up in this energy of saying, I can understand what's going on, but I don't have to always like absorb it and take it in and make it something that is damaging to me as an individual. So boundaries can be, really trying to honor your peace. I know for me in the last couple of weeks, I've really taken some steps back on certain relationships and connections that maybe felt like you are someone that does not have my best interest at heart. And so I have to kind of step away from certain relationships and connections because to me, given a lot of the things that are kind of happening, especially here in the US, I just don't have time for it. I don't want to even put myself in a position that feels like I am exposing myself to that sort of energy, because it's not something that is good for me as an individual. So I think boundaries are going to be extremely important for us this week as we kind of figure out, again, what we're willing to fight for, what we're willing to kind of plan towards, what it is that we really want out of our lives, while also kind of letting go of all of the stuff that we've been carrying that is no longer in alignment with what we need and what really truly matters at this time. So I think the boundaries card is kind of letting us know like it's okay to step on our truth and walk away or kind of block certain energies out of our lives that maybe have been, dragging us down or keeping us kind of stuck in anxiety and fear and making us feel very like out of sync with what we're trying to do with our lives and how we're trying to flow with things. So I think that maybe once we kind of set those boundaries and kind of are more aware of like what energy we're allowing in our lives, what that means for like the energy going out and things like that, then we'll kind of see that flow begin and us to kind of move out of this like sense of everything is basically effed, if you want to say it that way, which is kind of how it feels a little bit at this time. I'm not going to lie. So it may feel a little bit challenging this week with certain things, but I think that it's an opportunity for us to really, again, kind of settle into what we really truly desire, what we truly, really want by connecting a little bit more to our truth, being a little bit more confident about the opportunity for challenges to kind of meet us where we're at and to kind of encourage us to kind of move out of certain patterns that are no longer beneficial for us, because we need to stop carrying everything by ourselves. I know American society is very individualistic, and so it can be very hard to kind of look at it as we're all trying to work together for the betterment of humanity or just life in general. So maybe that's where we really need to start focusing on that energy. It's very Aquarian lesson coded of, kind of moving into humanitarian causes and being here for the advancement and future of what needs to happen for us as humans. So I really hope that this reading made sense. Let me know if you guys enjoy these. I appreciate you guys watching. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.